For Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think. On a recent episode of AEW Dynamite, Prince Nana, the manager of former AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, came out to give an update on how Strickland was feeling and how he was doing after his cage match with Hangman Adam Page. Now, while Prince Nana was giving the update on Swerve, Montel Vontavious Porter, known to everyone as MVP, came through the tunnel and interrupted the interview. And he made it a point to mention that he felt like Swerve Strickland should not have lost to Hangman Page and should still be world champion, and that Prince Nana was mishandling the career of Swerve Strickland. And he offered Prince Nana his business card to give to Swerve and say when Swerve is ready to do, and he stressed the word business, that he should reach out to MVP. Now, what this probably means, and this is me guessing, is that since Bobby Lashley's contract with the WWE has expired, he will probably be debuting in AEW very, very soon, and he and MVP will attempt to resurrect the Hurt Business in AEW. As MVP and Lashley were together in Impact and in WWE, they will attempt to resurrect the Hurt Business and will attempt to do business with Swerve, meaning that either Swerve is going to join MVP and Lashley, or Swerve is going to feud with MVP and Lashley on AEW television. And that's fine. If that's what Tony Khan wants to do, it's his company, he can do what he wants. But for me, having watched wrestling for quite a long time, and seeing the ascension of Swerve Strickland from a masked wrestler known as Killshot in Lucha Underground to becoming the AEW World Champion and one of the most important and valuable members of the AEW roster, I don't think that Swerve Strickland needs MVP, and I don't think that Swerve Strickland needs a feud with Bobby Lashley. MVP, if you looked at him when he appeared on screen, is in no shape to wrestle himself. MVP is beginning to look more like Paul Heyman, and I'm not insulting MVP. He's a great guy, but he's not in wrestling shape. So there will be no matches between MVP and Swerve. But Bobby Lashley is in great shape for his age, and there will probably be matches between Swerve and Lashley. But I don't think Swerve needs it, because if Swerve ascended all the way to the World Championship in AEW by beating guys like Hangman Page and by beating guys like Christian and fighting Bryan Danielson and Claudio, and with the showing he made in the Continental Classic against all of the top guys, Swerve doesn't need Bobby Lashley. And I don't honestly think that Bobby Lashley needs Swerve. If Bobby Lashley wants to come to AEW, he can feud with a lot of guys. There's guys like Brian Cage who can move as well as or better than him and match him in power. There's guys like Darby Allin who he could toss around and hopefully beat while Darby Allin refuses to die. There's a lot of people he can face on Ring of Honor television and in AEW where he doesn't need to interact with Swerve Strickland. And like I said, I don't believe Swerve needs Bobby Lashley, because Swerve's already been world champion. So Swerve needs Bryan Danielson. Swerve needs Christian Cage. Swerve needs Adam Page. Swerve needs Kenny Omega. Swerve needs Okada. He needs Will Ospreay. He needs Kyle Fletcher. He needs Ricochet. He needs the top guys. He needs to be facing off against the top talent, working his way back to the world title. He needs to eventually get in there and mix it up with Jon Moxley. He needs to eventually get in there and mix it up with Claudio. He needs to mix it up with Mark Briscoe. That's what Swerve needs. Now, as I think about it, as I sit here saying this, there could be another reason for this taking place. And the other reason for this could be this. If an interaction with Swerve and Lashley is going to happen, maybe Shelton Benjamin shows up, maybe Cedric Alexander shows up, which would be weird because Cedric Alexander would be working for a company where his wife, Big Swole, quit because she felt like black athletes weren't getting the same kind of respect. They might show up too because Shelton Benjamin is currently out under contract with WWE, and I'm not sure if Cedric Alexander is either. So they might show up and Swerve might need backup. So a feud with the Hurt Business, even if it's just Shelton and Lashley, would give AEW the opportunity to bring back Keith Lee and Ricky Starks, two black athletes who could feud with the other faction of black athletes, and two black athletes, or two talents, black or not, who have currently been off of TV for a long time because Tony Khan can't figure out what to do with them. So if you could use an association with the Hurt Business, Lashley and Shelton, as a reason and as a means to bring Keith Lee and Ricky Starks back to television, then it's a good thing. But just having Swerve feud with Lashley would not make for good television. It would not help Swerve Strickland because Swerve has already been to the top of the mountain. He doesn't need to go backwards in order to go forwards. He needs to wait and see who's going to win between Moxley and Danielson. Maybe he needs to fight Darby Allin and move Darby Allin out of the way. Maybe he needs to fight Christian and move Christian out of the way. And the winner of Moxley and Danielson needs to get back in the ring with Swerve so Swerve can have another shot at the championship. That's what Swerve needs. He doesn't need to be dealing with Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. But if you can bring back Keith Lee as backup to Swerve, if you can bring in Ricky Starks as backup to Swerve, and then elevate those two guys through a program with the Hurt Business, I'm all for it. Because those are two guys who need to be on AEW television. Particularly Ricky Starks because he's a younger guy and his career is in front of him. And once he lost the tag titles, he should have been headed towards other championships. He should have been in the Continental Classic. He should have been in the Casino Battle Royal. He should have been chasing the TNT title. He should have been chasing the FTW title. He should have been doing something to where he can make a name for himself. He could have been on Ring of Honor, chasing the Ring of Honor title. He should have been doing something. Or they could have sent him to Japan to do some work in Japan. He could have done something other than sit at home and be paid. So if you're bringing back Starks and you're bringing back Lee to help Swerve with the Hurt Business, I'm all for it. But if you're just going to have the Hurt Business chasing Swerve and Swerve has no help and no backup, I don't think he needs it. But that's just my opinion. Remember to like and share this video and subscribe to this channel, and visit the Eric J. On Sports website, and follow me on Facebook at Eric J. On Sports 1 and on Instagram and Twitter at Eric J. On Sports. And for Eric J. On Sports, I'm Eric J., and this is what I think.